Hey, what's up, everybody? Thank you so much for joining in to the Shaping Your New Start Education podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Phil, too. And we've got a very powerful podcast coming up. Listen, it's Black History Month, and we're about to discuss African American males in education. And I've got a powerful guest that's going to bring some education, going to bring some knowledge, that's going to bring some wisdom. But before we go into that, I'd love for you to share this video out with somebody. Share this with somebody who you believe, an educator that you believe will benefit from this. And listen, we want you to go to our YouTube page, Shaping Your New Start, and subscribe. Shaping Your New Start and subscribe. And also, we want to let you know that this podcast is sponsored by McGuire Wear, Fashion Your Faith. And so, what we want you to do is share this out, subscribe to our YouTube page, Shaping Your New Start. And here we go. We're about to begin this segment of Shaping Your New Start Education Podcast. Hey. All right. What's up, everybody? Listen, also, we want to know where you are tuning in from. So listen, put in the chat room where you're tuning in from, because we're going to get into this powerful subject. And listen, this is my guest, Dr. Michael E. Coleman Jr. Thank you so much for being on this podcast. Thank you so much for being a guest. How you doing, bro?
Listen, bro, I'm hanging in there. Thank you for having me. It's such a pleasure to be here. I'm super excited, and yeah, I'm ready to work. Thank you.
That's right. We're ready to get into this. We're talking about now. We've just entered into Black History Month, and also we're talking about Black males in education, African American males in education. How important is it that education have the presence of African American males?
So that's an excellent question. It's very important for the simple fact that my personal story, I went to two schools like growing up. So I started in Trenton, New Jersey, right? So predominantly all African American school, from K to fifth grade, never saw an African American male teacher. But then I moved to Willingboro, New Jersey, predominantly Black as well. Never saw a African American male teacher, but I did have one teacher that kind of shaped and molded me. So I lost my father at an early age, so I had no one to connect with in education. So I met one teacher when I got to Willingboro in fifth grade. I only had him for 3 months, and ironically enough, it was the father of Carl Lewis. It was Bill Lewis, who was my teacher. So he gave me hope. He gave me energy. He gave me life. However, once I left, once I finished fifth grade, there was no other African American male teachers from that time until I was a senior in college. So I said to myself, while I'm in college, what do I want to do? I want to make an impact. So I thought about what I went through growing up. In education, I had no one to talk to. I didn't see anyone that looked like me. I didn't see anyone that I could have a conversation with who knows the culture and just know me and myself. So I decided to become a teacher, and I think that was the best move I made. And I've been in education for over 22 years. And for example, I was in one particular school as a special ed teacher for 16 years. In that particular school, there were 42 certificated staff, and out of the 42 certificated staff, only 2 was African American male.
Wow.
With that, there was a lot of so he and I, we had, of course, teacher curriculum, but then there was a lot of issues we had to deal with outside of that. And the best part about it, To me, personal, one of the biggest stories I like to share is that I have one particular student in third, fourth grade. Really made an impact on that particular student. By the time that student graduated 12th grade, he came back to me and said, "Thank you for being my teacher. I never had an African American male teacher, and thank you." So all that really resonated with me, and it made me realize that this was the right choice I made, especially becoming an African American male teacher.
Wow. Yeah, that's
Yes,
powerful.
yes,
All right. So listen, we're gonna take a pause in this for a second.
yes,
Do you have your phone with you?
I do. Yes.
Let's see if you can log in from your phone, because we want to make sure your message is clear. We want
Okay.
to make sure your message is clear. So try logging in from your phone. Sometimes it works a little better.
Right.
All right. So we're gonna take a pause. We just want to make sure that everything is smooth and we can hear you.
Okay.
All right. So while you're doing that,
Yes, sir.
everybody, this is Shaping Your New Start Education podcast. We are everything education, okay? Everything and anything education. And we are about talking about education for educators and everything from there. So, okay, sound is good. We just want to make sure you're straight.
Mhm.
All right. All right. But yeah, let's see if you can log in from your phone so we can make sure that you remain clear throughout.
Yes, yes, sir.
All right. This is Shaping Your New Start Education Podcast. You can visit our website, drphil2.com. Especially if you're an educator, you're looking for a speaker for your schools, we want you to visit us at drphil2.com. You also want to visit Dr. Michael E. Coleman Jr., all right? Dr. Coleman on Instagram. So just as you see it there, you can type that into your Instagram and you can follow him there. So we're going to see if his phone gives him a little bit more smooth transition. Well, thank you so much for tuning in as we are discussing the subject African American males in education. African American males in education. And this is sponsored by McGuire Wear. Fashion your faith. All right. So
So
let's
I'm logging. I'm logging on. I'm trying to click on the camera from my phone and the mic, and it's not letting me go through.
okay. All right. Well, they say you can if you're watching right now, just let me know if you can hear him clearly. We just want to make sure everything is good to go. All right. We did get sound is good. All right. All right, let's continue on because we've discussed what has influenced you when what has powered you along the way, and you discussed your experience coming through, and not having that male presence in the classroom,
Right.
right? But listen, and now you have been inspired to solve some of that problem.
Yes, sir. Yes,
But
sir.
let's talk about where did you go to school?
Okay, so good. So for grads, well, let's start. For my bachelor's, I was at Rutgers University. So after Rutgers, I went to Wilmington University for my master's degree, and then I finished up at Rowan University for my PhD. Yeah.
Wow. Wow.
So, so speaking of which, Rowan University, I got connected with a program at Rowan University by the name of Project Impact. Uh,
Okay.
so Project Impact stands for Increasing Male Practitioners and Classroom Teachers, right? So what happens is we identify students who are Black and Brown male students in the education program. And then we just make sure that these students meet the criteria to be in Project Impact. And once they meet the criteria to be in Project Impact, we kind of guide them through. So, for example, we meet with them once a week, no, once a month, I'm sorry, in which we have like a whole group forum that we talk about issues in education. We talk about how we can recruit those students, and most importantly, how can we retain those students. And then we'll see them through their 4 years at Rowan, and then the mentors will possibly help them get jobs throughout the state of New Jersey. And we definitely keep in contact with those particular students, right? So one of the one of the things that really resonates with me is that I got the opportunity from Dr. Monica Shealy. She kind of got me in the program, and then Dr. Stacey Leftwich took over the program. But right now, Miss Nadine Herring, she is the leader of the program, and she is really going hard in terms of getting more students to come into the program. All right, and then also that's on that end. But then on the different end, we have the mentors. So the mentors is really big. Mr. George Guy, Dr. George Jackson, Mr. Sherman Timpsley, Dr. Figgs, Mr. Terrell Everett. Those individuals I rely on, right? Because I have questions also. Even though I've been in education for over 22 years, those brothers have been in education longer than I, so I can have conversations with them as well. So it's like a family unit that really pushes out great teachers in the College of Education. So that's something that is near and dear to my heart. That's something I ride hard for. And with that, we know what the research says, Dr. Phil. We know what the research says. We know what the media says. Not enough African American males in education. But guess what? We're making a difference. Project I.M.P.A.C.T, we're actually practicing what we preach. And then keep in mind that there's other programs out there that's really doing it big. One of the programs that really kind of resonated to me is a program that I had opportunity to speak with in in Georgia, Academy for Future Teachers at Auburn State University. Dr. Poe kind of led that charge, Dr. Tiffany Poe. So, she got me in front of those guys, and I'm speaking to them to make sure that if they have any questions and concerns as relates to education, make sure you reach out to us, and we try to support them the best way we can. The Call Me Mister program, that was the first program I heard. That was over 20 years ago, who recruit and try to retain male teachers. So that program is still in existence. And our brother Ayudeli Harrison, he's down in Atlanta under the BMF talk. So he's pushing that narrative as well. So we're connecting with folks who are like-minded and trying to raise that 2% of African American teachers to a higher number than 2%, most definitely.
That's powerful. That is powerful. Wow.
Yes, sir.
Project I.M.P.A.C.T, and we have so many others that are showing initiative. I love it. I love it. Because at the end of the day, we're feeders for the next generation.
Correct. That's right.
We have to inspire, and we have to feed the next generation of teachers, feed the next generation of educators. And, we're talking about males, but, absolutely, we're talking about females as well. But it is this opportune time that we have that we can inspire the next generation, because we're losing teachers at this point.
So Doc, that's an excellent question. That's an excellent point. So here's the conversations that I'm having now. So we get these African American male teachers in the classroom. They're not supported. They are left alone. They're doing other things other than instructing students. And then they leave the profession within 2 or 3 years.
Wow.
We have to recruit, but most importantly, we have to retain these teachers. And that's the uphill battle. So that's the battle we're having now. How can we actually retain these teachers? And number one, we definitely got to support them. We have to have workshops around what can we do to do better. So we have to have professional development. We have to have curriculum pieces that's going to guide them. We most importantly have to support them. And then we have to care for them, because some of them, they don't feel valued. So, and brother, Dr. Phil, we all know that anyone, male, female, whoever, anyone that goes into the field of education is not going in for the money, most importantly. They're going in for the love of it. And we remember, some of us remember when teacher was a noble profession, right? But things change. things change. And the more we put on our teachers, as an administrator, I know I put a lot on my teachers. But guess what? It comes from the top and it kind of trickle down. So my thing is, on every Friday, what I try to do, I just try to do wellness checks. I come to their classroom. I don't bring my computer. I'm not observing. Hey, Miss So and So, how you doing? How's the family? Everything all right? Okay, good. I just want to check in on you. And I leave to go to the next teacher. I just want to support these teachers the best way I can because they are stressed. And when we talk about self-care, teachers need it most.
I need to actually do a podcast just on teacher burnout, because that is what I'm constantly hearing
Right.
is teacher burnout.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And so many of them get criticized and, well, what are you doing for this? What are you doing for that? But I mean, a lot of teachers are trying to make bricks without straw.
And you know what? You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. And the unfortunate part about it, that we really have some great teachers. We have some great teachers, but within 5 years, they're totally burnt out. And then one of the teachers I had a conversation with, why would I go through this where I can do something else for almost twice the money? And that is something that's an uphill battle. That's something I'm really trying to capture. Like, what can we do to keep these teachers in the building, keep these teachers in the school district? And they're just leaving in droves. And if you are a special education teacher, the turnover rate is between 3 and 5 years.
Yeah.
And that's burnout. That's burnout. So the question then becomes, like, again, what can we do? So I'm trying my best to have conversations. I speak throughout the country in terms of recruit and retain. I definitely want to have some type of situation where I can support them, or I can put them in a situation where they feel supported. And then with that, I think that we'd be in a pretty good space. But again, it's all about recruitment and retaining.
Yeah. Absolutely. And, even this week we heard about the threats towards HBCUs, especially Howard University.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And now you have some of our professors, some of our schools being targeted. So this is a time where, our nation has to come in and really rally around our educators. With sometimes you go to work with so much fear of what's going to break out.
Right.
What's going to happen? Who's going to be the next, right? And so that's and yet still get paid pennies, and they want you to get it was a meme that they want you to give the Shaq effort where you're getting the Kevin Hart pennies, right?
Right. Exactly. You're absolutely right. And what's amazing? I just found this out, I want to say 3 or 4 months ago. The amount of teachers that have second jobs is astronomical.
Yes.
There's so many teachers that have to take on a second job just to make ends meet, or just to be comfortable. And then so now we're talking about going to work as a teacher, let's say 8 to 4. Dealing with a lot of stuff in terms of curriculum, in terms of instruction, in terms of parents, in terms of other teachers and students, and then have to leave that situation to go to another job. And I think that's 3 of the reasons why some of the teachers leave the profession, because they're just really burned out.
Yeah.
So I mean, again, our push is to recruit, retain, but most importantly, support. These teachers need support. And it's not all about coming to the classroom and observing them. It's all about just listening to them. Remember, those teachers are on the front line. Me as an administrator, I come into a room once or twice a week to do a walkthrough, do an observation, but they're there all day, every day. So in order for me to support them, I as an administrator have to listen to their concerns. And I think a lot of administrators, they have a lot on them. They have a lot on them. Because remember, it's from central office and it comes down, and we have to push things out. But sometimes we have to change our leadership style to support those who we're trying to lead.
Absolutely. And as an administrator myself,
yes,
I go into the schools, I'm going in to inspire. I'm going in to motivate that day.
Exactly.
That day, you're going to get some motivation. I'm going to give you some encouraging words. I'm going to look around and be like, wow, look what you're doing.
That's right.
Can you
That's
imagine you're doing this amount of work with this little? Wow, that's amazing. So that's what I'm going in with because
you know,
they're going to need that boost.
that's right. That's right. And you know, at the end of the day, you know, teachers make magic. Teachers make things happen. You know, with the little resources that they have, they are able to make things happen and meet the needs of their students using whichever criteria or curriculum that the district assigned them to.
Absolutely. So let's get to the why African American males are important today, especially with, okay, yes, they could be doing something else.
Right.
They
Oh
could
God.
be doing something else.
Oh
But
gosh.
why is it important that we retain them and recruit them?
So let's think about it. So 20% of all teachers are teachers of color, right? 20% is a low number. Now we're talking about Hispanic, male, female, Black, African American. That's a low number. But when we get to the 2%, the 2%, we need to definitely diversify the workforce because we want a curriculum that fits our students. Now, suppose we're in an urban setting. Think about it this way. Unfortunately, not in all cases, and I want to be clear on this, not in all cases, but there's some situations where there is no male in the home, in the household at all, right? Um, so with that, these students do not have a male figure to look up to. For example, in the other schools that I was in a couple years ago when I was an elementary school teacher, there were 342 students in that particular school. Out of 342, there were 12 two-parent households. 12, right? Which means the rest of those students only have the mother leading the home. So if there are situations that a young man would need to talk to another man about, there's no one there. So if we would have more students, more teachers in the buildings, right, then maybe we can have those discussions and maybe some of our students' behavior would change. Because, you know, and listen, I want to say this, that our female teachers, they go hard, they go above and beyond to try to reach these students, right? And then you have a male teacher to come in, don't say a word, give that student that look, and the whole thing changed, right? We need that old school back, and that's something that we don't have, right? Because if we were to have that, then maybe the situation would be different inside the buildings. So that's one of the reasons why I think male teachers, especially African American male teachers, are needed. And then again, to diversify the workforce, but they need to see people that look like us.
Yeah.
And so can I share a quote with you?
Yeah.
So I want to, this is a quote from Dr. Jawanza Kanchufu, right? And it says, many boys have never experienced a male teacher, right? Some boys in 4th grade have never seen a Black man read a book, write a letter, operate a computer, give any indication that he values academics. Many boys begin to get the impression that academics are for females and physical activities are for males. So here's the problem with that. Not the problem, but here's something that really jumped out to me. Dr. Jawanza Kanjufu made this quote in 2001. And to this day, it holds true. Most of it holds true. So my thinking was, as a male, what job can I get that, number one, I'm needed, number two, that I can have a career, and number three, that I can make a difference in the lives of others. So teaching was hands down. It was a no-brainer. Unfortunately, it took me a couple of years of college to figure out what I wanted to do. But when I reflected, I was like, this is it. This is for me. I want to be the person that I never had back when I was growing up. Never saw an African American male teacher.
Now, you did get your degree and you did finish school. You went into the workforce. Why
Yes.
did you go for the doctoral degree?
Wow, that's an excellent question. So my mother told me sometimes you have to walk in the directions of your fear.
Mm.
right? So speaking of walking, let me share a quick story with you, right? Um, I had some issues in school as a student, as a kid. I had some issues. Okay. I was placed in a special ed classroom when I was growing up, right? It didn't feel good. It didn't feel welcoming. It did not feel like someone was supporting me. So that was a lonely feeling. And I remember I lost my father at an early age,
Mm.
and my life could have been different. But with the help of some caring teachers, they made me, they instilled these values in me that I have to return a favor. I have to return a favor. And that's three of the reasons why I got my doctorate, because I struggled. I struggled even as an adult. So at high school, there were 300 students in my high school. Man, I was like in the midpoint of that. Um, you asked me about degrees. I had to get a degree from a community college because I could not go straight from high school to college. So it took me 4 years to get a 2 year degree. That's number one. So when I was in Rutgers, as soon as I got into the building, I'm automatically on probation, right? So for another 2 years, it took me 4 years to get that bachelor's degree. Then, as a master program, was a 2 year program. It took me another 4 years to get that. And then, lastly, for the doctoral program, it's supposed to be a 3.5 year program, and it took me 7 years to get that.
Wow.
So I struggled, and I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that because I was taught just never give up. You got to walk in the direction of fears. Who would, as a young man, the only thing I wanted to do is play sports. I knew I was going to the NFL. That didn't work. So I had something to fall back on. So with that, I think that's why I decided to get the highest degree I can, because I struggled all my life. And it's not for you to call me doctor. That's something I had to fight with internally. So with that, um, my mom, she had me at 15. So we was raising each other. And she had my sister, she had her at 18. So she had two of us before she graduated high school. And she instilled those values in us, which made both of us get degrees. So, she has a master's. And again, my mom never stepped foot on the college campus. Sometimes my mom never stepped foot on the college campus to take me to college.
Wow.
But those morals that was instilled made me so that me and my sister and I can have 2 degrees apiece without her even getting a degree at all.
And that's a powerful story. I'm still soaking it all in. And I identify with you on the struggle, especially after my PSAT and my SATs. Forget it.
Yeah,
I didn't know I'd make it this far after all of that. But we push through, and we find that element where we thrive in.
yes, sir.
And you have to go for the highest level. Why not? Why not? So your story is a powerful story and definitely needs to be heard around the nation.
Yes, sir. And I'm thinking, I'm working on it, man. I'm pushing it. There's something that's in the making, and I want to share this. I definitely want to share this. So, Dr. Phil, I'm going to say this, and you are the first to hear this. Okay, it's my first platform. I want to discuss this. Hopefully, if all goes well, it's February. If all goes well, I'm having a book dropping by March of April or April. And at this point, the working title is Creating a Culture That Matters. And basically, it's about African American males and, actually Black and brown males in special education. So I'm supporting them, I'm advocating for them, I'm pushing for them, and I'm having teachers find out different strategies they can use to instruct them. So that's what that book is coming up. So that book is definitely should give me like 3 or 4 months. I'm in a finished up phase of that, and I definitely want to come back on your show and
Oh,
share with you
absolutely.
as well. Indeed.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so you specialize in special education.
That's right.
And so we need even more of a presence of African American males in special education.
So real quick. So if there's now let's do the math on this. 20% of teachers are teachers of color, both male and female. 2% are African American male across the board. If that's the case, how many teachers are African American male special ed teachers? Very few.
Very few.
Very few. So the new movement, the new project is to create support systems around that so we can recruit them in and then make sure that we hold them the best way we can for as long as we can. Because remember, unfortunately, special ed teachers, 3 to 5 years. That's the attrition rate. After that, burnout starts happening and they're off to the races. So that's my second goal is to come up with a plan to coach African American male special ed teachers to keep and retain because they definitely need support. I mean, I'm quite sure that most districts are trying their best to keep and support, but however, we need someone who actually walked in their shoes. Like we don't need anyone from the top up making decisions and never coming into the classroom to support these individuals. We need everyone, all hands on deck, to make sure that these teachers get what they need to be successful. Make sure we can train them so they can make their students successful, and most importantly, to give back to what they love the most, and that's education.
Absolutely. Wow. That's powerful. That's
Yes, sir.
powerful. So we definitely have to dig a little deeper into that. And we want to inspire this next generation. So hopefully if you're this next generation that's watching this podcast or listening to this podcast, we want you to be inspired to consider education as your pathway, as your purpose,
Yes, sir.
as your goal, because it's needed, it's necessary. We need more male presence, and we definitely need more African American male presence in education. It's very important. So that's what we hope to inspire. We hope to inspire a new generation,
Yes,
whether
sir.
it's through Project Impact, whether it's through the book that you have coming out, whether it's through my ebook coming out. Trust me, I'm working on it right now.
Yes, sir.
And we want to shape a new start for men in education. We want to shape a new start for African American males in education. We need a new start. So listen, if you have a young man that you're raising, have them consider. I know the first thing, one of the things my mother brought up was I was going to be a doctor. And I said, who told you I wanted to be a doctor?
That's right.
My purpose was not called there,
That's right.
and so I don't know where you got that part from. But I know lawyers and we think about health technicians and health field, but we definitely need. So
Mhm.
if you're struggling in your purpose, you're struggling to find out what you want out of life, what you want to see. Listen, your purpose can be right here in the classroom,
That's
can be
it.
inspiring other young males, other black males. You can be that next generation of inspiration, and we need you.
Dr. Phil, I couldn't say it better. You are absolutely right. And I thank you for those sentiments. Thank you.
Absolutely. And I believe that you're going to inspire many more to get involved, especially in special education, education in general, but
Yes, sir.
especially in special education, which we'll talk about again. Once you come out with that book,
Yes,
we'll
sir.
be right back here on this platform and we'll be talking about it because we want to be part of the solution. We know the
Exactly.
problem, but we
We know the
want to
problem.
be part of the solution.
We know the problem. Exactly. And then for I want to say something for school districts throughout the United States. I'm asking for them if the school districts can actually reach out to local colleges, local
Yes.
universities to see if they have any existing programs that will feed those teachers to those particular school districts. That would be a great thing And that's something that Rowan is doing for Camden and South Jersey and a little bit of North Jersey as well. But there are different programs in different colleges that will be able to do the same thing. But we just have to make that connection. We have to make that connection. And once we do that, I think we'll be in a really good space. I think those numbers will go up from 2% to a higher number than that.
Listen, all you have to do is ask.
That's
Right?
that.
You ask a young person, hey, would you consider education? Why not?
Why not? And we're not talking about the summers off and things like that. We're just talking about the rewarding situation. Once you're in a program, once you're in a classroom, it's going to be really rewarding.
Man, that's powerful. That is powerful. That's a word right here. Listen, this is a word right here. So again, everybody, I love this quote. Sometimes you have to walk in the direction of your fear. Sometimes you have to walk in the direction. I love it. I love it.
Okay.
Listen, we're talking about African American males in education. We need more. We want to inspire more. And we'd love for you to consider education as your pathway, as your purpose. This is the Shaping Your New Start Education podcast. Once again, we're sponsored by McGuire Wear, Fashion Your Faith. If you're interested in becoming a sponsor for this podcast, please write me at info@mcguireent.com or go to drphil2.com. Go to drphil2.com. Write us. Let us know you'd love to be a sponsor for the Shaping Your New Start Education podcast. You can follow me on Dr. Phil _2 on Instagram or Dr. Phil 2 _. You can follow Dr. Michael Coleman as well on Instagram. You can follow him at Dr. Michael Coleman, Michael E. Coleman Jr. Just as you see it spelled right there, you can spell it out right there on Instagram and you will find him on Instagram. So please make sure you go and follow him. Please subscribe to our channel as we are growing, as we are producing content every week for education. We are producing content. We're interviewing different educators from week to week. This is Dr. Michael E. Coleman, educator, motivational speaker. Maybe you want him as well to come and speak somewhere. Make sure you follow him, and he has a powerful story, everybody. Thank you so much. Anything you want to say before we close out?
Yes, first and foremost, Dr. Phil, too, I'd like to thank you for having me, man. I really, really appreciate it. I follow your work, and actually, let's be clear. I'm so impressed that I actually reached out to you. So that means that you're doing excellent work. Please keep up the good work. And the guests that you had in the past are very, very inspirational. And I made sure that I got on just for you, brother. And I really, really appreciate it. So whatever happens, please continue pushing. Please continue doing what you have to do. And whatever I can do to support you, I'm here for you, brother.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you so much, everybody. Dr. Coleman, stay on for just a bit. Everybody, this is the Shaping a New Start. Thank you so much for tuning in. We hope that you have subscribed to our channel. This will be on Spotify, Apple Podcasts. You'll be able to hear us on different platforms. We'd love for you to share this content out with somebody so that they can also be inspired. We thank you so much for being a part of our education podcast, a part of our movement to include and recruit more African American male educators out there. Listen, this is your time and this is your place to shape a new start. Thank you so much.